Hi, welcome to the Daily Juice. I'm Diana Stobo, and today we're going to be making a gingery apple crisp. I love this raw version of an old favorite with a ginger twist. It gives it warmth and a nice flavor. So we're going to start with our green apples. These are fresh from the tree. Apples are in season right now. These are a beautiful Granny Smith. They're a little tart, which is what usually we would make a crisp out of because we add sweetener to them to balance it. You can use any apple you'd like. Just recognize that most other apples are sweeter and you would probably want to lower the sweetness that you add to it. So instead of cutting them in half and coring them, I'm just taking it right off the core this way so that we get nice even chunks. The reason we like to cut everything as uniform as we can when preparing meals is that it spreads the flavors out evenly as well. And we have a runaway apple there. There we go. So I have previously cut 4 of these apples and placed them in this nice bowl. So now we have 5 Granny Smith apples, and we are going to add 2 tablespoons of Rapadura cane sugar. This is a raw cane sugar that has not been processed. You can see that it's brown. It's got a real rich molasses flavor to it. And what this is going to do when mixed with the little agave is create a syrup. So 2 tablespoons of that, and 2 tablespoons of agave, another low glycemic sweetener. We don't want too much sugar. We really want the natural flavor of the apple to stand out. Get every last drop. Mix that up a little bit. Let that set. Then we're going to take some fresh ginger. Just peel the outside edges off with your knife. Cut it off, whatever works. And then you can use a cheese grater, or what I like to use is the microplane grater. And just stand right over your bowl and grate it into the dish. Now I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of ginger in this because I like ginger. But it's a pretty intense flavor. If you're not used to intense, go down to 1 teaspoon. Just test it out, see what feels good for you. So good. Okay, so we're just gonna toss that all together. See how the sucanese starts to break down? It's going to create a nice syrup in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set this aside and let the flavors all settle in, sort of a marinade. First of all, I'm going to see. Perfect. I was testing to see if it needed any more sweetness, but because the crumble will have a sweetness to it, I like the flavors to be sharp. All right, so we're going to set this aside. Here we go. And then we're going to begin our crisp. We're going to start today with pecans. They happen to be my favorite nut, mostly because they are sweet naturally. And there's 2 cups of pecans here. Coconut, another favorite nut of mine. And there's a cup of coconut there. I think we'll put in a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. I don't want the ginger and the cinnamon to clash. I want them to complement. And probably a nice pinch of salt. about 1/8 of a teaspoon, I would say. Okay, now how we're gonna make this stick together is with my favorite medjool dates. These have been pitted. Pull them apart a little bit to help them break down. I want this to stay crumbly, so we're going to pulse it. There's an on switch and there's an off switch. There's always a pulse switch on every processor, and that it gives you more control. So what we're watching for here is that the dates are breaking down and binding, and yet at the same time the nuts don't get too small, because I like to see a little pecan on the top of my apple crisp. All right, I'm going to stop. So what I want to do is I open it up and see if it's sticking together yet. I want to be able to squeeze, and it looks like we're going to have to do a little bit more processing. I'm actually going to add another date. And this is how it is with raw food. Nature is so inconsistent that sometimes we have to add a little, take a little out, and that's beautiful. These just are unbelievably moist. Okay, let's see if we can get this to stick. So it's starting to stick together. I'm going to take a little bit of this crisp out of the processor because I want to keep some of the bulkiness of the nuts. Set that aside, and then we're going to process it so it gets a little sticky. Okay, great. I'm very pleased with this now. What we have is a chunky coconut pecan crumble that's sticking together. I'm going to add this back in, take the blade out, and we're going to set this aside. All right, so assembling this is really fun. Get a beautiful dish, like always, something that you can serve it in. I'm going to use a souffle pan here, and we're going to check on our apples to see if they have marinated well. The longer they sit, the better, but you can also have them in your souffle pan sitting as well with the crumble on top, waiting to be served. This can be done before a meal, and then you can bring it out after the meal as a dessert, and it's already perfect. All right, so we're just gonna pour this in with all the flavors. There's a little juice on the bottom. Okay, so put your apples in about 3/4 of the way up. This is such a healthy, clean dessert. There's no feeling of walking away from the dinner table feeling full. You actually feel very uplifted. Now I could put all these apples in, but I want to make sure that everything fits in. So we have our apples, just enough room to create the crumble on top. Now with our crumble here, start squeezing as you place your crumble on top. This is creating like a granola effect. So when they bite into it, you get some chunks. I don't know about you, but my favorite part of any apple crisp is always the top. So I like lots of it. So as you can see, the shape I create is a mound. I think it makes for a beautiful presentation. I really filled this up because as this is sitting while you're eating your meal, your apples will start to settle into the syrup and really hold the flavors. You can leave this at room temperature just like this while you're serving your meal. This can sit out for for a couple hours as the apples marinate, or you can serve it right away. Let's see what this tastes like. Look at that. See how all the nuts have attached themselves to a bite of apple? Let's see how good this is. Delicious. The pecans, the apples, the ginger, all together, really fabulous. I'm Diana Stobo. Thanks for watching The Daily Juice. We'll see you next time.